Presenting our national officials for this match. First referee, Ms. Joy De Imos. Second referee, Mr. Irish Santos. Let's welcome our starting lineup from our Iloilo Navigators. Team captain wears jersey number 4, Jerome Michael Cordez. At number 2, Dean Neil De Pedro. Wearing jersey number 6, John Michael Apolinario. At number 13, Fena Guaza. Number 14, Rash Nursidik. And number 21, Jade Disquitado. Starting libero is number 9, John Mark Espanso. And head coach is John Kenneth Panes. Presenting our PGJC Navy Sea Lions. Team captain wears jersey number 16, Apprentice Seaman Gregorio Dolor. At number 1, Marvin Villanueva. Wearing jersey number 12, Jimmy Intig. Number 17, Seaman First Class Wilbert Sapida. Number 20, Christian Marcelino. And number 24, Owen Jaime Suarez. Starting libero is number 3, Christian Celis. Head coach is Petty Officer 3, Cecile Cruzada. This is match number 55.
Right now, let's take a look at the starters here for both these squads. You've got Cortez, Disquitado, Apolinario, Nursidik, Guaza, De Pedro, and Espanso. Starting out for the Navigators, Iloilo. On the other side, Villanueva, Sapida, Marcelino, Suarez, Entig, Dolor, and Tabuclao for the PGJC Navy Sea Lions. We had a very long first game today. We had a very quick second game. What will this present to all the fans of Spikers Turf? We'll find out in a bit. Pretty good set, but that was blocked there. Guaza was waiting for that one there, Paneng.
Yeah, actually, that was not a good pass for the side of PGJC Navy. Kaya naman tinaas na lang yung bola nitong setter. But the blockers of Iloilo was ready for that open attack.
Ooh, that combination play blew up in their face.
Yeah, there was a miscue actually for the side of PGJC Navy. So back-to-back good service here for Iloilo. Medyo nahihirapan yung libero nitong PGJC Navy to get that good first ball.
Not a good serve from Apolinario, but this time they will score. And finally, they're on the board, courtesy of Marcelino.
Yeah, coming off from the good opposite attack for Marcelino. He's actually the second best scorer for during their previous game against Vanguard.
That's a good serve from Marcelino. This guy is almost automatic, talking about Disquitado.
Yes, actually we talked about him during our pregame, and now he is showing us why he is the top scorer for their squad. Actually, young gun here for Iloilo, only 19 years old.
Sabi mo kanina, hindi pa nakaka-graduate na high school.
Oo nga.
Ganun na siya kagaling. Another attack blowing up in their face. That's 2 already.
That's right. Parang yung connection nitong setter ng PGJC Navy, hindi pa siya masyadong makakonect sa spikers niya.
It is now 4-1. Iloilo is actually not a squad that you can play around with because they can beat you and they can beat you quickly.
That's right. Kaya wala pa sila ditong talo for this conference.
Error that time though for Disquitado. Trailing by 2 is Navy. Wow. There was no blocker whatsoever also there.
That's right. That was a quick attack there by Guaza for Iloilo. Take a look at this. The open block. If you're a quicker or a spiker, if you see no blockers there in front of you, talagang ididiin mo na lang yung palo mo.
And Tig forgot that he had to play defense.
That's right.
That's going to be sent long there. Guaza.
I think that's the second service error for Iloilo. Back-to-back service errors for their squad.
So they've given them 2 free points and coming to within 2. Right now is Navy. Whoa, that hit the net. That helped them out. And De Pedro will score.
That was a good placement attack by De Pedro. It was actually not a strong opposite attack. Talagang tinignan lang niya yung depensa ng PGJC Navy to get that easy point.
That is a much better attack. And Dolor will finally get his first point here of the match.
Yes, of course, their team captain, Greg Dolor. Take a look at this. Good elevation. Yung palo niya talagang ibabaw sa blockers.
Dalawa pa rin ang hinahabol nila.
Another open. No blockers again from the side of PGJC Navy. We saw that previously coming off from the quick attack ni Guaza. But this time naman, running attack nitong ni Rash Nursidic for Iloilo. So maybe because yung setter nitong Iloilo, who is actually the number 1 best setter for this conference so far, is really trying to confuse the blockers of Navy. That's why medyo naliligaw itong mga blockers ng Navy. Hindi nila mabasa masyado yung mga siniset ng setter ng Iloilo.
Tama yung sinabi, talagang litong-lito sila.
Oo, nahuhuli yung mga blockers ng Navy. So this is going to be a problem for PGJC Navy if they won't be able to adjust kagad sa pagbabasa sa mga sets, sa spikers. May hirapan sila makakuha ng lamang for this game.
That's going to bring us to our first technical timeout here. It is 8-5. Iloilo with a 3-point advantage.
You're still watching the Spikers Turf Open Conference 2023 live on One Sports. Now, for the PGJC Navy Sea Lions, head coach Cecil Cruzada actually expressed her utmost disappointment from the last game. She noticed na medyo matamlay yung team in that last game. She didn't know why. They had a heart-to-heart talk, open forum. Not much explanation coming from their side. Pero ang sabi niya, they are not overworked. All they have to do is be focused in today's game, most especially that their goal is to be able to reach the semifinals. Back to you guys.
Once again there, Marcelino. Well, Cel is trying to play a little bit para medyo matuwa naman yung kanyang kupunan dahil ngayon naghahabol sila.
Yeah, but they only need 2 points to get a tie for the score.
Well, sometimes that happens. May mga slump talaga yung mga teams. Ano? Kaya yung mga sessions na gano'n na ginagawa nila, nakakatulong yun.
Yeah, and even kahit magmanalo kayo sa game nyo, pero hindi satisfied yung coach na makita yung teamwork nyo or the coach knows na may ipapakita pa kayo or may ibubuga pa kayo.
Yes. Pati ikaw, nalilito ka na dito sa nangyayari sa mga
Oo
blockers,
nga.
ah. It happens, and that's why itong Iloilo has the lead, but now, not too much support that time, at lalapit na naman itong Navy.
But they're still up by 2 points. Malapit lang yun, no? Hindi masyadong malaki yung lamang nitong Iloilo.
Kung tutusin mo, di ba, hindi ganun kaganda yung nilalaro ng Navy, pero dalawa lang naman talaga yung kanina hinahabol ngayon, eh.
Oo, but yung mga errors na ganyan, like from the services or the mga miscues nila ng setter and spikers, doon sila hindi makakatulong sa team nila ngayon, lalo na they're coming from a win actually, but they want to give that first loss dito sa Iloilo.
Free ball coming up here. And getting his second point is De Pedro.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of single blocks or sometimes no blocker at all para sa mga spikers itong Iloilo. So the setter and spiker connection for their squad is really working since the start of this game. Since the start of this game and this set.
And Navy has to be able to check their blocking because kung hindi gaganda yung kanilang blocking, mukhang mapapabilis yung laro natin.
Yes, and syempre, if you're Iloilo, if you know that your opponents are really having a hard time in defense, you'll take advantage of that to get more points and to get that easy win. And now their team is leading by 5. And with Jade Disquetado, if you could see the way he serves, talagang kargado yung kanyang services. That's why Navy is also having a hard time to get a good first ball.
Masyado naman yung binigyan yun. It's gonna go long. But it's still a 4-point lead here for the Navigators. Eight serving 12. Sinigurado na lang yun. That's going to be out of Dolor's reach.
But that was good effort though by Dolor. If you take a look at this, late din yung middle blocker ng Navy. Pag ganun kalaki yung gap in the blockers, if you're the one defending at the back row, you'll really have a hard time kung paano ka pupwesto, saan ka kukuha ng magandang pwesto to get a defense.
Ito na naman, another service error. 4 na yan.
That's 4 free points para sa Navy.
Nagbigay na sila ng free points, pero kita mo, lamang pa rin sila
Lamang
ng
pa rin
4.
sila. But I think every time na magkaka-error itong Iloilo, nakakabawi sila kagad sa kanilang mga counter plays.
One of the few times we've
That's
seen
right.
blocking coming from Navy.
Yeah, that was coming off from Jemmy and Tig. That was a good one-on-one. If you take a look at this, ang ganda naman ng pagkakabasa niya yun ng quick attack ni Nursidik. The first block point for Navy.
That's another serve gonna go long. That time from Villanueva.
I think if you're Navy and you're in the service area, lalo na pa naghahabol kayo sa puntos, you have to take your time in the service area because that's where mauunti-unti na makakadikit sa puntos.
That's kept alive there by De Pedro. That's gonna be checked.
It was actually supposed to be outside yung back row attack na Disquetado, but there was a net touch violation called on the blockers of PGJC Navy.
Yun ang masakit.
Yung sana na puntos nyo na, right? Coming off from the errors ng iyong opponent, but kayo mismo yung nag-commit ng error.
Nice recovery there. But an opportunity. Can they transition? Dolor. That's kept alive. They were waiting for a whistle. None came. Dolor once again goes down the line.
That was a good down-the-line attack by Dolor. We both, we thought na there was a net violation, but there was none called by our referees. Now, if you take a look at this, that was a good down-the-line attack by Dolor. And you have to give credit for both teams of having a good defense. That was the longest rally that we've had for this game, for this set so far.
That should bode well here for Navy and their chances. They need to extend those rallies. Dolor now with the serve. His team still trailing by 4. And again, scoring here is Iloilo. And that will bring us to this technical timeout. It's a commanding lead here by the Navigators as they lead 16-11.
You're still watching the Spikers Turf Open Conference 2023. Now, Anthony and Paneng, I'd just like to add that a big problem for the PGJC Navy Sea Lions is that may tampuhan minsan on the court. Now, Libero Tabuklao actually admitted that he expressed his feelings sa open forum that they had, and he feels frustrated whenever his teammates are not able to match his energy. But head coach Cecil immediately corrected this. She knows that he is young, he has a tendency to be emotional, but if you lose trust in your teammates, then that's when things are gonna go downhill. Back to you, Anthony and Panay.
Wow. That's a great report there, Ayana.
Yeah, sometimes it happens talaga in a team sport, no? Kaya it's very important na you have that understanding and good communication amongst one another. Kasi pag nagkanya-kanya kayo, dyan kayo mahihirapan to play as one unit.
That's the key. You need to be able to play as one unit here. Off the attack, Disquitado.
Good
It's
save.
kept alive, yes. Look at the transition once again. Back row attack, not gonna work.
That was a short drop ball by Cortez. Cordes, rather.
(13-16). Still a 3-point lead enjoyed here by the Navigators. Another service error, Paning.
I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was already the third service error for Navy.
And they cannot afford that because sila yung naghahabol eh.
Oo, kanina they were down by 5 points.
That didn't look like he went over.
4 touches called on Iloilo.
Can they get a serve in here? Sinigurado na lang yun. One-handed set. Chance here for Navy to come closer.
Oh, that's too tight. There was a net touch called on Navy. That was Marcelino. Because yung set na yun ni Suarez is pasok na on the other side of the court. Kaya naman mahirap na yun habulin ng kanyang spiker.
Another serve is going to go long. Both squads have done really horrible serving-wise.
Yes, medyo madami na tayo nakikitang service errors for this set. So far, Iloilo already has 5 service errors and Navy has 3.
But still a 3-point lead enjoyed here.
Make that 4 service error for the side of Navy.
Halos tabla na sila.
Oo, but this is something that you don't want for your team, right? Because this is easy point na you're giving to your opponents, and especially if you're down by 4 or 5 points, kailangan mong humabol eh.
Timeout will be called by Coach Cruzada.
Pag service natin, pasok lang muna. O kaya natin habulin yan, 4 pa. Tapos yung spiker nila, si handa si Diskitado. Sino tao Diskitado?
Labas
Labas na siya, service na siya. Tao-tao muna sa blockings, kung kaya nating humabol doon sa kasama mamaya, saka na lang tayo umano. Kasi nauna tayo sa block, oh. Wala pa tayong nakuhang block. Ha? Tara, sige pa.
Paraan mo lang.
That was a good timeout actually by Coach Cecil Cruzada. Same lang din yung minention niya sa kanyang mga players is mag-ingat sa service. Dahil malapit na to, like 4 points lang kaya pa nilang dumikit. But every time they're in the service area, doon naman sila nagbibigay ng libreng puntos sa Iloilo.
Yan, they should take advantage of the fact that binigyan na naman sila ng isang libreng puntos.
Yeah, that was 6 free points in total. Just coming off from the service area lang nitong Iloilo. And now Pagulong coming in to do the service duties for the PGJC Navy. Replacing Wilbert Sapida.
That's not gonna work that time for De Pedro.
But there was a net touch called on Jemmy and Tig. I think it's coming off from the block.
Parang 2 beses na yun. Kanina yung palo ni Diskitado lumabas doon. But there was another service. I thought there was another fault at the net.
But now Navy will challenge that call.
Well, you do have challenges. Gamitin mo na.
Yeah, especially nakita niya yung players niya nag-react na wala daw talagang net touch on their side.
First challenge here. But there are times when players don't realize na tatamaan nila yung net eh.
Oo, may times na ganun, especially kung mabilis na yung mga transition plays. So let's take a look at this.
No, that was a clear net.
Yeah, I think there really was. I think that was Jemmy and Tig. But like what you mentioned, sometimes if you're the blocker, minsan hindi mo na mararamdaman yung mga net touch na yun eh.
So the challenge is unsuccessful. It's going to be a 4-point lead once again here for Iloilo as they lead 20-16. That's a good serve from Duaza. But a good offensive thrust put together here by Navy, and they crawl closer. They're just now down by 3.
Yeah, you have to give credit to the good first ball ng libero ng Navy na si Tabuklao. Saktong-sakto lang sa kanilang setter. That's why they were able to get that quick attack.
Now a chance for them to come closer, and they've got Dolor.
Yeah, good open attack by Greg Dolor. Usually mga palo niya is above the blockers or on the side of the blockers. And now they only need 2 points to get the tie. Now Iloilo called for a timeout.
Okay, one good receive. Ready tayo sa receive muna. Okay? Hindi pwedeng na dumikit tayo, ha? Na malapit na matapos, malapit na mag-25 dapat angatan natin. Okay? Siglahan nyo pa. Okay? Pwede siglahan pa, ha? Aggressive pa. Bigya, ha?
Okay, let's go.
Side out. Okay, lalayo natin, ha?
Nabi! Go!
Just some last-minute instructions. They know they're still in the lead. Though it's not a comfortable 1 at 2.
That's right, onti lang itong lamang ng Iloilo. So if Navy gets this momentum na magsunod-sunod na yung kanilang mga scorings, especially they have their lead scorers, Greg Dolor in front. So it's not impossible na makakuha sila ng tie in scoring for this set.
That's a good serve. But that's an even better attack there coming from Iloilo.
That was a good open attack by their team captain, Jerome Cordes.
And it's a 3-point lead once again.
That's right. And talagang iniwasan niya yung blockers niya. Ang ganda ng kanyang cross-court attack na yun.
Kinailangan talaga nila yung puntos na yun.
But may sagot naman kaagad si Greg Dulor for the side of PGJC Navy.
Balik kayo kaagad sa kanya. Bakit hindi?
Take a look at this. Really using the hands of his blockers. That was off the block from Apolinario.
But they can't seem to break this 2-point barrier. And there's another mistake on serve. Balik na naman sa tatlong lamang.
Yan yung niremind ni Coach Cecil sa kanyang mga players kanina na ipasok na lang nila yung service nila. I think it's better rather than commit an error in the service area because that's a free point.
Marcelino will get one back.
Yeah, PGJC and Navy top scorer, both Dolor and Marcelino doing a lot of damages for Iloilo, getting a lot of points for their squad. They need more of that.
Jairami papasok. And Tiggs out. Big serve coming up here. Jairami is able to deliver. One-handed set, and that's off Jairami.
Apolinario really activating all of his spikers since the start of this set.
Final timeout going to be called here by Navy.
Oy, last 3 lang Tatlo lang oh, 1 to 6 nga yung ininsayo natin, nahabol nyo yun. Ngayon natin ilabas yun ha. Kaya pa yan, wala pa, dalawa pa oh. Kaya natin yan, usap lang, usap. Bigay tayo ng 1 good receive pag maganda combination ha. Huwag magmadali sa first ball, kailangan natin yun yung first ball ha.
Well, they're confident because in training, 6 naman daw yung kanilang nahahabol. Ito kalahati lang.
Yes, they only need 3 points to tie this set. But like what Coach Cecil mentioned, sometimes sa training talaga, madaming mga ganong scenarios or training na pinapagawa yung mga coaches wherein their opponents sa other side of the court, malaki yung lamang. But for them to be able to get a point, pinapahirapan sila ng kanilang mga teammates on the other side of the court naman. Net
Well, it's
touch
going to be a net touch this time naman sa kabilang panig.
Yes, that was called on Apolinario or on Guaza. Now, only 2 points na lang ang kailangan nitong PGJC Navy.
Good serve from Suarez. That set was too low.
Yeah, it was too low for Guaza. And now, 1 point na lang ang lamang ng the Navigators Iloilo.
This is the closest that Navy has gotten in quite a while.
That's right. Kanina, laki ng mga lamang nitong Iloilo. Mapa 3 points, 4 points, 5 points pa. But napababa naman nitong Navy. They only need 1 point to tie the set.
Ito na, let's see if their training serves them well. Not the best of receptions.
That was
and a
a good
chance for them here.
Yeah, that was a good check ball.
That's too close. And we are tied at 23.
Yes, nakita Coach Cecil is really clapping her hands for her team. Good anticipation there for Marcelino.
Bilis. Doon lang. Isang quick, stay ka lang doon na. Receive na maayos. Pwede kung ano, quick. Tingnan mo baka malaman. Pwede kasi Jade doon. Ikaw ikot. Same pa rin. Kuha ng timing. Baka kuha ng timing. Yung dalawa sa likod, receive. Okay, ganda na natin receive. One stop na. One stop pa. Okay. Kailangan natin makapuntos. Okay.
They really weren't able to fully utilize this Quitado in that last point.
Yes, and because Marcelino is actually in front row for PGJC Navy, he already has 7 points coming off from 6 attack and 1 block.
And they go to Disquitado. That's like almost instant offense.
Yeah, that was a sure point there for Iloilo. Yeah, for times like this na talagang crucial point now or crucial set for your squad. You'll really go to your top scorer. Lalo na sakto na nasa harap itong si Disquitado.
Good serve from Apolinario. And that gets through the defense. That should have been advantage here for the Navigators.
That was a good opposite attack by Marcelino, sending his team to tie the point at 24. Now we're going to extend this set.
Another good serve from Marcelino. Disquitado. Dolor gets it through. And they now have the lead.
This is the first time that Navy gets the lead for this set. Grabe yung open attack na to ni Dolor. Look at his hang time, really waiting for the hands of his blockers. Good game here by Dolor so far.
And Marcelino's going to send that serve long. And we're going to be tied once again, this time at 25.
Now that's gonna hurt for PGJC Navy. Kung kailan nakalamang na kayo, and then same pa rin yung naging problem nila in the service area.
Disquitado for sure will take some off this one.
Oh, good save. Oh!
That's going to work there for Jade. Not the way he drew it up, but in the end, they'll get the point.
That's right, but still, you know, ang ganda pa rin ng save na doon ni Greg Dolor. Talaga ayaw niyang palapag yung bola na yon. But that was a miscalculated attack on the opposite for their squad.
Disquitado, I'm sure will take some off this one again. Oh, no, he didn't.
Ah, that was outside.
He
And
went for it.
Now we're tied at 26.
That looked out.
From our angle, it looked out. But sometimes di natin makita kasi onting-onting tama lang sa line. That will be counted as inside.
Well, hindi pa naman gumagamit ng challenge. Itong
right.
kupunan ng Navy. Iloilo, check
Iloilo,
that. So
yes.
why not?
They still have 2 challenges.
Tama, yung Navy nagamit na ng isa.
Let's take a look.
Walang kaduda-duda.
Yeah, that was outside. A successful challenge by Iloilo.
So that challenge you can't take to the second set anyhow. So gamitin mo na nga. And they still have one more anyhow.
That's right. Both teams still has 1 challenge for this set.
And Tig will come back in. Big serve coming up here. And not up to the task there was Sapida.
Actually, nakita mo na parang iningatan na lang niya yung service niya eh. He wants to go for the sure serve, but yung contact nga lang niya sa bola, hindi masyadong maganda. Kaya naman not over yung service na yon, sending the Navigators Iloilo to set point.
Let's see what Guaza does here. He still went for it. But Dolor is going to go wide. Ouch.
That was a good attempt though by Dolor and for the whole PGJC Navy, cutting Iloilo's lead. And they were able to get, makalamang pa sila on the last stretch for this set. But yun nga lang, yung kanilang errors for the last part of this set, sending Iloilo to get the first set with 28 and 26.
We just went in through extra volleyball. 28-26 was our first set score. And the Navigators winning that one in a very close encounter.
That's right, and actually it was a good start by the Navigators Iloilo. Taking the lead early for this set, sometimes naka 5-point lead pa sila during the start of the set. But slowly, itong si PGJC Navy nakakadikit sa puntos. But that was a good timeout actually by Coach Cecil Cruzada, reminding his players whenever in the service area is to take their time and parang ipasok na nila yung service nila, because we actually saw a lot of service errors from both squads. And I like to mention na yung service errors pa lang nila, tig 7 points. 7 points for PGJC Navy and 7 points for the Navigators Iloilo. And that was a lot for one set only. And then if you look at the numbers, attack points lamang si Navy, malapit lang, 14 points versus 12 ng Iloilo. But Navy was able to get 3 block points versus 1 ng Navigators. But look at the errors of Navy. 14 big points. Then 7 points from that are services. But on the Navigators Iloilo side naman, 9 errors. So 7 errors doon, service din. So we'll see coming into the second set if both teams will be able to adjust in the service area and continue to have, the setters will have better connections with their attackers. So we'll see.
Biro mo yun, 14 yung kanyang lang pagkakamali. Free ball. Disquitado. Got some help from the net.
That's right. Ready na yung mga defenders itong PGJC Navy. But medyo nagbago yung speed ng kanyang bola because of, with the help of the net.
Disquitado now with the serve. Ito. Tiyak, kakargahan niya. Boom!
Ganda ng service ni Disquitado. That was a high drop ball.
And Guaza says, thank you very much.
It's a good quick attack by Guaza. He actually had 2 points nung first set. And Disquitado had 4 points.
Disquitado once again. Boom! That time, too hot to handle there.
Marcelino with that strong opposite attack. He's actually the top scorer now for Navy. He scored 8 points for the first set. And this time, still getting a lot of points for their squad.
Disquitado from the back row. Delore that time just with a lot of spin. Guaza got high up there, saw the hole, and put it through.
Yeah, that was an easy point by Guaza. It's not actually puro strong attacks lang. You can also get points from drop ball. Basta maganda lang yung positioning ng iyong mga attacks. Easy point for your squad.
Guaza ngayon may serve. Lamang na naman sila ng dalawa. Guaza goes down the line with that serve. Villanueva, that's not going to get over.
Yeah, there was no block touch by coming off from that attack ni Villanueva.
Guaza serving again. It's out.
It was outside. There was no touch sa depensa nitong Iloilo.
Will they challenge? No challenge there.
So the first referee is confirming whether that ball is outside or touched by Disquitado. It was outside. So unang tumama sa floor. So that was a back-to-back attack errors by BGJC Navy.
So Guaza serving again. That one is long. Promptly apologizes. That's going to cut that 4-point lead down to 3. Nursidik stopped.
But that was Cortez using the hands of his blockers.
Balik na naman sa 4 ang kalamangan dito. That one's gonna fall just short.
Now back-to-back service errors. Again for the Navigators Iloilo.
Villanueva now with the serve. Gets it in. Cortez once again. Twice.
Yes, twice using the hands of his blockers. Sometimes if you're the spikers, makita mo na naka-establish na maayos yung blockings ng kalaban mo. Sometimes nilalaksan mo minsan yung palo para tumalsik sa kamay ng mga blockers. Yun yung mga mahirap depensahan.
Running hit is stopped there by Disquitado.
That was a good one-on-one block there by Disquitado.
That's going to bring us to this technical timeout. It's a 5-point lead enjoyed by the Navigators. 8-3.
Welcome back to the Spikers Turf Open Conference 2023. Now, this is exactly what head coach John Kenneth Panes actually asked for from his D Navigators, and that was to have a strong start. It was a tight first set, but them winning is what matters. Matibay naman daw yung first 6 nila. They are able to set the tone of the team, and they need to carry this over in this set if they want to fulfill their goal of claiming the 4th spot in the standings. Back to you, Anthony and Paneng.
Well, I'm sure, Paneng, they would have wanted it to be a little bit better, a little bit easier. Pero, well, 28-26 is still a first set win.
Yeah, that's right. But they still got the win. But yun na nga, like what you mentioned, is it could have been better since the start of that set na sustain nila yung lamang or tuloy-tuloy na lamang. But yung latter part na lang ng set na yun, nakadikit itong PGJC Navy.
They were up by as much as 5 points.
That's right. And this set, actually, lumamang din sila ng 5 points and now they're still up by 4. Same thing that happened nung first set. So we'll see kung sa latter part of this set, will Iloilo be able to sustain this momentum and this lead?
Disquitado once again. Slow down.
Yeah, the blocking of Iloilo is now working. Good block there on the open attack of PGJC Navy. Hindi masyadong ready or maganda yung position ng coverage ng PGJC Navy.
That one straight to the first referee of that block from Guaza. And he promptly apologizes. Bam.
Yeah, but actually, Guaza is top 6 in blockings for this conference so far.
Back to Disquitado. That looked a little bit mishit.
Yeah, but it was still inside. Score, still a point there for for Iloilo.
Balik na naman sa kanilang lamang.
It's a good comfortable lead for Iloilo. What a back row attack there by Greg Dolor.
finally, nagpaparamdam na naman siya, Paning.
That's right. And he's actually one of the top scorers for PGJC Navy nung first set together with Marcelino. So itong mga open attackers ng PGJC Navy really getting a lot of points for their squad.
Combination play! Ouch!
What a combination play by the Navigators Iloilo. That was a good set.
Look at
For
this.
Apolinario, take a look. Ang ganda nung pasok na yun ni Guaza. We all thought na sa kanya isa-set yung bola dahil ganda nung pasok niya, ganda nung elevation niya. But Apolinario gave that ball to Disquitado for that middle attack.
Disquitado's gonna send that one straight to the net, though.
Yeah, Disquitado is a top scorer for the squad. Again, so far for this game, he already has 8 points.
Are you surprised?
He's like what we mentioned on pre-game, is really the top scorer for their squad and still proving to everyone he's the go-to person and he's really top scorer for the Navigators Iloilo.
Sipin mo yun, 19 pa lang siya.
Oh.
He still has a lot to learn. He will still get better. Guaza, good serve. They go to the pin, slowed down there. Back to the captain and he's gonna get roofed.
That was back-to-back good blocks by the Navigators Iloilo. Medyo malayo yun yung set and open attack for Greg Dolor.
Norsidic has done his share. Another good serve there. Finally converting is Navy.
That was a better set for Greg Dolor. Kanina, nung na-block siya, malayo yung mga sets sa kanya on the open. But this time, there was a perfect height and perfect distance from the net, getting that easy open attack.
Going down the line is Cortez.
And you saw na late na naman yung blockers of PGJC Navy. So we saw a lot of late blocks nung first set. Sometimes open block pa for the spikers of Iloilo. So Apolinario really showing why he is the best setter for this conference so far. And now, time out by
natin, hindi
Navy.
tayo makapanalo. Bakit kasi tahimik kayo?
Kapit natin, malayo pa yan, guys.
Nag-request kayo ng walang ensayo bukas, tapos ganyan yung pakita nyo.
Malayo pa yan. Compose na, compose.
Sila na, hinayaan nyo na silang pumalo ng pumalo. Pwede bang tayo naman? Tahimik kasi kayo. Bakit ganun tahimik nyo? Parang natalo na tayo. Ang layo pa.
That can be frustrating, Paneng, for a coach. Na hindi mo maintindihan bakit nga ganun yung kupunan, hindi nga nagsasalita.
Yes, and yung communication nila, yung teamwork nila, medyo nawala ngayong set na to versus nung latter part nung first set. Ang ganda nung kanilang mga, every time na nakakuha sila ng puntos, everyone was really enjoying and communicating with one another. But this time, napansin na ni Coach Cecil na since ang laki ng lamang nitong Iloilo, parang bumibigay na yung kanyang squad. At syempre, if you're the coach, you don't want to see that in your squad.
And then coming off a timeout, you're gonna come up with an error such as that.
Right. That was a free point given to Iloilo because that was a net touch violation for their squad.
This is now the biggest lead in the ball game for both sets at 7. They needed that. Navy did.
Yeah, Navy will need a lot of those coming up from their team captain, Greg Dolor. Actually, is doing a lot in the scoring department. That's Greg Dolor. Take a look at this. What an open attack there by their team captain.
So far, a good attack coming from Dolor and Marcelino, but Cortez tries to go down the line. That time, a little bit too long.
I was trying to go over the blockers. Ang taas ng reach niya. Dahil taas din ng talon niya. Taas ng kamay niya when he goes for the open attack. But that was overcooked.
Lead's been cut down to 5. Mini 2-0 run at Nur Siddiq will pick up that point, which is going to lead us to another technical timeout. And it's a 6-point advantage enjoyed by Iloilo.
You're still watching the Spikers Turf Open Conference 2023. Now, Anthony and Paneng, you mentioned that we are finally feeling Greg Dolor. And I just want to mention that he actually got injured in their last game. He acquired a left ankle sprain and only trained 2 days ago for the PGJC Navy Sea Lions. And sabi nga ni Head Coach Cecil Cruzada, wala na raw siyang nararamdaman na pain. But for Coach Cecil, she believes that he still does. But he's just willing to sacrifice it to help his team win. Back to you guys.
Well, it's a very short conference, Paneng. So if you don't play, ang laking mawawala talaga sa conference nila.
Yeah, especially if you're the leader for this team inside and outside the court. You really want to prove to your team na kaya mong tulungan yung squad mo. And actually, if you look at Greg Dolor now, you wouldn't even know that he came from an injury. Because
That's right.
he plays all out every time na may game itong PGJC Navy. The scoring department, he leads his squad together with Marcelino. And mapa-front row man siya or back row. Talagang ang laki ng tinutulong nito ni Greg Dolor.
That time, they were able to stop this Quitado. That's why he's got that wry smile on his face.
Oo.
The captain, Dolor, with a serve. Back to Discutado, he slowed down. Dolor is going to get denied. Nur Siddiq once again at the net.
That was a good block by Nur Siddiq. Actually, medyo mabagal lang yung dating ng bola on the side of PGJC Navy. But the floor defense is medyo shaky ditong PGJC Navy for this set. Yung coverage nila medyo hindi gumagana. That was Marcelino using the hands of his blockers to get that easy point on the open attack. But 5 points pa din ang lamang nitong Iloilo.
We're approaching the business end of the second set. Navy's got to start making their move now. Discutado. There's a lot of spin that time. At bumawi ng Navy.
I think that was the first quick attack that we've seen for this game. Take a look at this. Good connection there by Suarez.
Can they keep this rally going? No, they can't. Discutado on that combo play.
Combination plays nitong Iloilo is really working for them because ang ganda ng pasok ni Guaza in the middle. Kung ikaw yung blocker ng Navy, akala mo talaga sa kanya isi-set ni Apolinario, but Discutado was there for the combination attack, leaving him with no blockers.
What a stretch from Ado. They're going to say it's a net violation, this time on the side of the Navigators.
Yeah, that was Guaza and Discutado who went for the block. But nakita na ating second referee that there was a net touch called on Discutado.
the back row. Cortez almost scored.
Good defense by Dolor.
It's a free ball here. This time they go up the middle and Guasa delivers.
Good quick attack by Guaza. Only one blocker in front of him. So, grabe yung sequence of attack na yun for the side of Iloilo. Makita natin si Apolinario nag-set sa opposite, nag-set sa open. But last time naman, itong quick attack kay Guaza to get that point. So, he's really using all of his attackers.
Kaya nga litong-lito na talaga yung mga
Yung
blockers. Saan tayo
blockers ng-
pupunta? Pedro stopped. From the back row.
That was a good touch on the block.
That might have gone out.
Yeah, that
But
was
again, ang bilis eh.
Villanueva. Oo, itong opposite attack ni Villanueva. Hindi masyadong napwestuhan kaagad nun ni Disquitado for the defense.
Apat pa rin ang hinahabol ng Navy rito. They need a good serve from Marcelino. Villanueva slowed down there. Look at that set. A nice sequence we have here. On the second ball.
That was outside. That's a free point for PGJC Navy. Good call for Marcelino. Leaving that ball. Hindi na niya dinipensahan niya. Kita niya yung bola pa-outside na. Iniwasan na lang niya yun.
Navy trying to make a last-minute charge here. But Guaza gets way up there. And again, there was really no resistance at the net.
Yeah, but it was actually, you have to give credit to the setting of Apolinario because we thought na over na yun eh. Pa-over na on the side of PGJC Navy pero inagaw na lang niya for that one-handed set. And Guaza was ready for that.
No question, that was not dropping.
Medyo hindi pa nakukuha ni Guaza yung range and proper contact on the service area. If he gets that sure serve na kargado, ang lakas ng service na mahirap makakuha ng first ball.
Rosidic was stopped there. And that will get through.
I like that open attack by Greg Dolor. But that was coming off from the out-of-system set on the open, but he was able to time it properly using the hands of his middle blocker, Nursidic, getting that 18th point.
Huwag natin pakapitin.
Maging aggressive tayo, 5 points na lang tayo. Kailangan natin tapusin yan. Hindi pwede na hanggang 20 lang yan. Eh, trabaho kayo hanggang matapos yan hanggang 25.
Go.
Eh?
Saan?
Sipagan nyo. Tarahan nyo. Tara.
Doon na tayo doon na. Oo, sige naman. Sige.
Sino sarapan?
Patay ha.
Tara.
Respect saan.
Back to the action here. Panay mo kayo itong Navy. Gusto nilang antayin na umabot sa 20 yung
Bago
kanilang
sila.
kalaban. Tapos doon sila
Doon
raratsate.
sila hahabol, right? Like, I think we've seen this scenario na nung first set dahil kung kailan nakaabot ng 20 ang point nitong Iloilo. Kanina, ang laki na lamang nila, 7 points to 5 points. And now, 2 points na lang ang kailangan nitong PGJC Navy para maka-tie in 20.
That's going to be too close. Put down there by De Pedro. That's a big point.
Yes, now,
That would have brought them much closer.
yeah, actually, Entig only went for one-hand block. Na kung sana kung naka two-hands block siya doon, mas mapapabagal niya yung bola or maybe ma-block pa niya yung palo na yon ni De Pedro.
Cortez.
Oh, good defense.
Same there for Nursidic. Balik sila kay Dolor. And he gets denied.
Good block there by Norsidik. Actually, ang dami nang nakuhang puntos ni Greg Dolor in the open. But this time, the blocking of the Navigators Iloilo working well. And now, they're up by 4 points. Let's listen to the timeout of Coach Cecil.
Error na naman natin guys yung nag-score. Hinga na hinga. O, service sila ha. Re-receive tayo. Pag maganda win, bigyan mo nga ng running to Sintek. Magandang receive kailangan ha. Pag open doon kay Greg, bigay mo. Pag open dito sa kanya, bigay mo. Ha? Receive na maganda. Tara tayo.
Oh, guys!
Very clear. Coach Cecil talking about the fact that puro errors na naman ang nangyari. And just when they were able to come within 2.
Yeah, napababa na nila yung lamang nitong Navigators. Only 2 points, but this time umangat na naman to 4 points. So, if you're Navy, kailangan mong ayusin yung floor defense mo because your spikers are really testing their blockers, using the hands of their blockers. But pag gumana naman yung blockings nitong Iloilo, doon nahihirapan sa coverage itong PGJC Navy.
Sabi ni Coach Cecil, punta natin si Greg. At yun na nga nangyari. At nakapagbigay na naman siya ng 1 puntos dito para sa Navy. Ang problema, 3 pa rin ang kanilang hinahabol.
Oh, good serve.
Cortez, Doug, from the back row. And back-to-back points put together here by Navy. They're just now down by 2.
Yes, coming off from the good back row attack by Marcelino. Take a look at this. Ganda ng elevation niya. In contact sa bola to get that strong back row attack.
It stays in. And this will definitely be challenged.
But if ever, that's going to be the first service ace for PGJC Navy.
What a time for that to happen. If it does, stick para sa Navy. Ito na naman yung ratsyada na naman nila pagdating talaga sa latter stage.
Baka yun yung sinasabi nung coach ng Iloilo na si Coach John Panes na kung kailan patapos na yung set, doon kayo nagre-relax. Take a look at this.
Let's see it.
Oh, that was outside. Walang tama sa linya. So the challenge is successful. The point will now go to the Navigators Iloilo. Now the score is 23. Only 2 points ang kailangan nitong Iloilo to close this set.
That's a big difference. If that went in, that would have been just down by 1. Now they're down by 3. Now just down by 2.
Mabilis naman yung sagot na yon ni Greg Dolor.
Dolor now will head on back to do the serving chores. 21 serving 23. Sinigurado na lang yun. Here's Desquitado. Baon na baon.
What an open attack by Desquitado. Kita mo yung elevation niya from our angle. Now take a look at this. Ang ganda ng set na yon ni Apolinario. Ang ganda ng distance sa net. Kaya naman si Desquitado parang tinapik na lang niya sa ibabaw ng bola with that strong open attack.
Well, the defense was there. Ooh, that might have sailed long. That's going to be out.
That attack of Marcelino is out. There was no touch.
Will they challenge?
No
Because
challenge.
you can challenge. There's nothing that you're going to lose.
Yeah, wala pa tayong challenge for this set. But Coach Cecil, hinayaan na lang niya yun. Ito namang Navigators Iloilo closing that set to 25 and 21. Now they're up by 2 sets to none.
Welcome back to the Paco Arena here in Manila. As we take a look at our score of set number 2, another close one. Pero parang same script, ano?
Yeah, no.
Ang laki na naman nung lamang nung isa, tapos hahabulin sa dulo.
Right. Like what you mentioned, parang same scenario lang nung nakita natin nung first set. Because nung first set and second set, ang ganda ng start nitong The Navigators Iloilo. But for the second set, lumamang pa sila ng 7 big points. And not until si Coach Cecil Cruzada called for a timeout to remind his players na maglaro sila na maayos. Because there was a time na nagkanya-kanya na yung kanyang mga players or hindi na nag-uusap. But that was a good stretch actually for PGJC Navy. Now if you look at the numbers, attack points malapit lang din, isa lang lamang nitong Iloilo. But yung block points, look at this, 5 big points, the Navigators Iloilo versus 1 block point ng Navy. There was no service errors for both, service aces for both squads. But yung errors din, medyo napababa na nila dahil kanina ang laki ng errors nitong Navy. But this time, they were only able to have 6 errors versus 7 ng the Navigators. And if we take a look ng service errors ng second set, 2 lang yung service errors ni Navy and 4 pa din yung service errors ni Iloilo. But on the scoring department naman, for PGJC Navy, both of their top scorers, si Dolor and Marcelino, doing a lot of damages for Iloilo. But on the side naman of Iloilo, it's mostly Disquitado and Cordes getting a lot of points for their squad.
Well, Marcelino will start off the scoring here in set number 3. At parang kita mo, desidido ang Navy. Hindi na kami magpapalamang.
Parang ang ganda ng pasok nila for this third set dahil kanina nung second set tahimik sila since nung start and middle ng second set.
And it's a 2-0 lead. This has been the biggest lead now of Navy in all 3 sets combined.
And the first time na nag-lead sila na start ng set to get this first 2 points for the third set. And you could hear the intensity of PGJC Navy.
Well, Disquitado is gonna silence them just for the time being. Pero yan ang ingay na hinahanap ni Coach Cecil.
Yes, since the start of this game actually, parang ngayon lang sila nag-ingay ng ganyan. Kahit yung mga nasa labas nitong PGJC Navy contributing to the cheers of their squad.
Disquitado, that one straight into the net. That one was not even close.
Kaya masyadong mababa yun for Disquitado.
De Pedro stopped. Nice stretch that time, but Dolor was waiting for that.
That was actually open over defense by Apolinario. The frontliners of PGJC Navy was ready for that. Not with Greg Dolor in the front.
That's gonna bring Iloilo closer. We haven't said it much here in this match, but they're now trailing by 2.
Good start here by PGJC Navy. But it's still early for this set. Kagaya na nakita natin ng first 2 sets, itong The Navigators, nag-uumpisa na bumubulusok yung score nila, laki ng lamang. But kung kailan patapos na yung set, doon naman dumidikit ang point sa puntos itong PGJC Navy.
Let's check in now with Ayana.
Anthony and Paneng, I want to talk about head coach Cecil Cruzada's frustration towards her team to the point that she didn't even join the huddle coming into this set. And like what I mentioned earlier, she was very disappointed in their last game due to how they performed. They underperformed, and they actually promised her that they will perform better and with more energy in today's game. And she actually admitted that she would be giving them a 2-day break before their game against AMC this Friday if they do well today, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Back to you, Anthony and Paneng.
I don't think so. I think, Ayana, they might have 2 practices tomorrow.
Most probably, because with how they're playing today, medyo hindi satisfied si Coach Cecil doon, especially if you like what Ayana mentioned, no, during her report na the squad actually requested to have a break, but medyo hindi yata nila yun makukuha ngayon dahil ang ganda nung nilalaro nitong the Navigators Iloilo and they're up by 2 sets.
At hindi lang yun, parang ang baba naman ng antas na laro ng Navy.
Well, maybe because like what Ayana mentioned during her report na parang itong Navy is having issues in communications, in their teamwork. That's why they had open forum or yung nag-meeting sila, itong team na to, para maayos yung mga misunderstandings na yun.
Usually, pag ganun, you don't really call for practice because maganda naman yung pinapakita ng team. You might need to really call for a team building session.
But pwede din, right? Because yun na nga, like what I mentioned, if you're not playing as a one unit, doon kayo mahihirapan eh. Mahirapan kayo gumalaw inside the court, mahirapan kayo makakuha ng panalo, definitely.
They're looking much better here, but just when I said that, tabla na tayo at 6.
Yeah, they had a good start itong si PGJC Navy. But ngayon, unti-unti nang dumidikit at same na nga yung point natin ngayon, 6 points for both squad.
We have failed to mention it, but good digging so far by both these liberos. It's going to be another violation at the net.
Sayang yung defense na yun ni Greg Dolor. Ang ganda ng pagkakataas niya sa bola, but there was a net touch violation.
Well, don't look now, but it's a 1-point advantage for Iloilo after trailing by as much as 3. Nursidik.
Was blocked by Marcelino. Actually, you mentioned yung defense ng both squads, and if we're looking at the statistics for this conference, PGJC Navy is actually second best digger for this conference, and the Navigators Iloilo is number 3. So magkasunod lang sila in the statistics. So that's why we're seeing a lot of good defense for both sides.
Ooh, that one should have been an easy point para kay Disquitado. He's going to run out of space, and we're going to run out of a little bit of time here because it's a technical timeout. Lamang na isa ang Navy, 8-7. Once again, let's check the team standings here. We presented that to you during the pregame as we take a look at Signal. Clearly on top at 7-0.
Yeah, and Imos is on second. Well, the Navigators Iloilo is currently on the 3rd spot. But PGJC Navy is in the middle of the standings with 6. So like what we mentioned, only 3 games remaining for both squads. And this is a must-win situation for PGJC Navy to hopefully get a spot in the semifinals because only 4 teams will make it to the Final 4.
Kaya gusto ng Navy magpahinga sana ng 2 araw.
Sana. But hindi natin alam kung papayag dyan si Coach Cecil.
Because she talked about it. This is number 1, a must-win game.
Yes.
So, if you don't win this one, mas lalong must-win game yung sa susunod nila.
Yeah, 3 games pa yun. So, kailangan nilang ipanalo yung lahat ng mga laro nila.
And even that might not be enough to be able to make it to the top 4.
Yes, because if there will be tie in standings, so quotient system naman yung magiging basis for the teams to make it to the semifinals. But we'll see kung sino yung mga, depende sa quotient nila kung ilang sets sila nanalo, ilang sets sila natalo. But so far, we don't know yet because they still have 3 games remaining.
Aaron serve there once again is going to bring this 3rd set to a stalemate at 9 apiece.
Yeah, so far, since the start of this game, PGJC Navy already had 11 service errors.
At It's kept alive. Disquitado slowed down. That's good support. That is going to get through.
A good opposite attack there by Marcelino. But I have to give credit to the one-on-one block ni Villanueva on the running attack of Guaza. So they were able to get that point. Good transition play for the side of PGJC Navy.
Clinging onto a 1-point lead. De Pedro. Another violation. That might be on Villanueva.
Yeah, it was only Villanueva actually for that block. Medyo napapadami na itong mga net touch violations of PGJC Navy. Which is sayang dahil ang ganda na ng depensa ng kanilang squad. So natataas na nila yung mga bola kahit single block or open blockers in the front row.
Disquitado. Villanueva's dug there.
Good defense.
Dolor flies through.
What an open attack by Greg Dolor. That's actually his strong angle, yung cross-court attack na yun. Now, if you take a look at this, good elevation and good contact of the ball. Iwas na iwas sa blockers niya yung open attack na yun.
Guaza. We haven't called his name in quite a while.
Yeah, but this time, yung kanyang mga open attacks really working for Guaza. He only has Intig as a blocker in the front.
Guaza now with the serve. We are tied at 11. Set number 3. Going down the line, good serve. They go to a combination play and Villanueva delivers.
I think that was the first combination play that we've seen from PGJC Navy. Take a look at this. Ang ganda ng pasok ni Intig. Papasok pa nga dapat ang combination nito si Greg Dolor. That was a good decoy for their squad, getting that easy point for Villanueva in the middle attack.
Villanueva with a serve and he hits another one. And he whacks himself on the head for that.
That was the 12th service error of PGJC Navy for this game.
Mukhang alam ko nang gagawin nila sa ensayo bukas.
Puro service na lang ang kanilang gagawin at blockings. Dahil ang dami din nilang error on the block.
That's going to be out.
That was outside and no block touch.
Are we going to have a challenge? Yes, we will.
The first challenge for this set. PGJC Navy challenging that call. There was a block touch from the quick attack ni Intig.
Confident sila nun eh.
Oo.
Quick challenge ang tingin nila dun sa kanilang bench, and that's actually what they're looking at right now. We'll find out. Well, Navy has not been successful with the challenges today. Let's see if this one will work in their favor. Don't forget, we are tied at 12.
Yeah, dikit ang laban natin for
Tama.
this third set.
Ang pinaka malapit na laban here in the last 2 sets, of course. Let's take a look.
I don't think there is a block touch.
Didn't look like it. Parang lumusot eh.
Yeah, there was no block touch. It was actually a close call, no? So that was an unsuccessful challenge for PGJC Navy, leaving them with only 1 challenge left for this set.
And they're trailing by 1. They're trailing 2 sets to none.
This is a close game that we're having right now.
Dolor. That's out.
There was clearly no block touch. Iniwas yun ni Greg Dolor, yung kanyang palo. Kita mo, nakaharap siya sa cross-court, tapos talagang kinabig niya down the line, but that was just too wide. Giving the lead back to Navigators with 2 points.
Navy's got to be very careful. They cannot allow the Navigators to build on a lead.
Net touch violation again called of PGJC Navy.
Ang dami na.
Yeah, I think that was already 4, if I'm not mistaken. But sayang yung iba doon dahil ang ganda ng depensa nila. Nataas nila na maayos, but clearly there was a net touch violation. So that was an easy point or free point given to Iloilo.
And now it's a 3-point lead for the Navigators.
Ang bilis lang, no? Kanina tayo lang tayo ng 12, but this time, lamang na ng 3 points itong Iloilo.
And if you look even earlier here in the third set, lamang pa ng tatlo.
3 points,
itong
that's
Navy.
right. So, most probably dahil nagiging sunod-sunod itong mga errors na papamigay ng PGJC Navy.
They needed that point.
And that was a good quick attack. Cutting the lead of just by 2 points. Itong si Iloilo.
Good serve from Dolor. But in the end, the point is going to go once again to the Navigators, which is going to bring us to our technical timeout. Our second one here in the third set. At lamang ng 4 ang Iloilo. Welcome back to the Paco Arena here as we have the end game of our third set. And looking good. Ang kupunan ng Iloilo, wala pa silang talo and they're looking to remain spotless with a victory here today.
Yeah, especially if they're now leading by 2-0 for this game and they're playing well for this third set. Kanina lumalamang itong PGJC Navy, but composed pa din itong the Navigators Iloilo. No pressure on their side. But Marcelino said, not yet. That was a good open attack, cutting the lead by Iloilo with only 2 points.
They need to spring these points together. That's a good start with that serve. Try transition here. Back row attack.
And that was inside, clearly inside. Back row attack ni Cordes.
And Tig didn't even make a play for it. Thought it was out.
Yeah, iniwasan na lang nila yung depensa na yun, but biglang bumagsak dun sa dulo ng Zone 5.
Bawi kaagad ang kapitan.
Ang ganda din ng palo na yun na back row ni Greg Dolor. So most of the scorings talagang nito ni PGJC Navy nanggagaling kay Greg Dolor at kay Marcelino and even Villanueva on the opposite attack.
Bang! He is on a roll. Talk about diskitado.
Yung kanyang open attack na yun, grabe. That was with authority. Hindi natin masyado nakita on our angle, but I think there was only one blocker in front of him. Kita niya bukas yung down the line.
Ito naman, bawi kaagad ang Navy. And
Siyempre,
they're still within 2.
si Marcelino din daw, kaya din daw niya yung down the line attack na yon. So take a look at this. Bukas na bukas yung zone 6 na yon nitong Iloilo.
It's kept alive. Going cross court, and it works there for Dolor.
Medyo ang bagal nung palo na yun ni Greg Dolor. Hindi kagaya kanina naman nakita natin na atake niya na talagang very powerful. Ang ganda ng contact. But this time, parang inantay niya last minute yung bumaba yung blockers niya bago niya paluin in the cross court.
Good serve from Marcelino. A chance here once again. Dolor stopped. That'll get through. Nice dig. On the second ball, Guaza.
Yeah, actually, si Dabukla was not in the right position to get that defense because we thought si Guaza isi-set pa niya yung bola na late doon sa pwesto into si Dabukla.
The main man here for Iloilo, serving. Dolor with the answer.
Again, the cross-court attack ni Greg Dolor. Parang walang nahawakan yung blockers na every time he targets that cross-court.
Well, they are guarding against the down the line. Ooh, that was mishit.
And that was outside for Cortez. And now we're tied at 19 points.
Ito na naman yung ratsyada talaga ng Navy. Sa huli parati sila.
But this time for this set, nag-umpisa naman sila
That's
na
right.
sila yung lumamang. But kanina, nung middle part of the set, si Navigators ang lumamang ng 3 or 4 points. Tapos dumikit lang itong si Iloilo, itong si Navy.
Makes you wonder why. They have a really strong finishing kick, pero yung pag-umpisa, except for the third set as you mentioned, pero parang gusto nila magpalamang eh.
Oo, parang yun yata yung training nila ni Coach Cecil na 1.6 points. Sa sila yung
Tama.
mahabol.
Oh, iibahin na ni Coach yung training next time. Tayo na yung lamang.
Pero maganda naman yung hinahabol ng
Tama
Navy,
yun.
right? But yung sa latter part of the set na lang, dun sila natalo dahil yung back-to-back errors ng first set. Nung second set naman, yung mga net touch violations din nila.
On the second ball. Dolor once again.
That was outside.
That didn't look like it hit anyone.
Will there be a challenge?
I think they might win this challenge because it went to the net and out.
That's what we saw from our angle, but we'll see. Baka mamaya may konting-konting
Tama.
tama na naman sa braso ng blockers nitong Iloilo, which will make their challenge unsuccessful.
That happened right in front of us. And it looked like the net rejected that ball. But again, as you said, a lot of times it just slightly goes over.
Right.
At tumatama ng bahagya.
At pag may tamang bahagya doon, unsuccessful yung challenge na ito ni Iloilo. So let's take a look. There was definitely a block touch here. So that challenge by the Navigators Iloilo is unsuccessful.
And we're going to be tied at 20. This is going to be an exciting finish here.
Dikit na naman itong latter part of this set.
And it's always been like that.
Yes, his first and second set.
Now a chance for Navy to take the lead.
A good defense and coverage there by Apolinario.
That is sent long. And they've got the 1-point lead. Talking about Navy.
That was a mishit by Cortez. Kaya naman napatawag ng timeout itong the Navigators Iloilo because PGJC Navy is now up by 1 point.
Compose tayo okay? Compose tayo, tingnan natin, receive tayo, then ano yung ang offense natin, ano ang atake natin. Okay? Kuha tayong lakas, okay? Pwede power, diskarte. Okay? Tatlo strikers mo. Okay. One good receive, one good receive. Tapos ready ka agad. Uy, huwag tayo mag-relax, nag-block. Aggressive pa rin pa nag-block. Ayaan mo, ginalagay lang natin yung kamay natin. Check, ball din natin, nahabol yung bola.
Tara.
Hey, Nabi! Go!
Let's see who'll have the stronger finishing kick. So far, it's a 1-point advantage for Navy. Big serve coming up here once again from Pagulong. That's a nice dig. Back to De Pedro. Dug once again. They go to the captain. That gets through.
Ball is still alive.
Ooh, that might have gone out.
Good defense by Navy.
Actually, good defense by both. That's going to be out.
Nanggigil na doon si Diskitado. Sabi niya, ang tagal naman itong depensa na to. Good defense by PGJC Navy.
And no challenge coming from their side.
Yeah, if your coach Cecil, magiging proud ka doon sa last play na yon ng kanyang squad because everyone's really contributing to the defense department. Their coverage was okay.
Ooh, that's sprayed out once again.
It was back-to-back outside attacks by the Navigators Iloilo.
Well, the coaching staff of Iloilo says let's finish strong, and so far it's a faltering finish.
Tapos habulin natin yung dalawa. Okay? Tuloy-tuloy na natin kaagad. Okay? Bawi. Masyado relax na naman tayo.
Wala. Kaya.
Pati naman, patay tayo.
Hey, Nabi! Go! Pasa ulit tayo.
So first and foremost is they need to get this point. Tapos sabi niya, hahabulin na lang natin yung dalawa.
Yes, kanina yung timeout ni Coach John Kenneth na isa lang yung lamang ng PGJC Navy. But nung pagpasok pa lang ng the Navigators, 2 libreng puntos na yung nabigay nila dito sa PGJC Navy. Kaya naman naka-lead sila ng 3 points. Make that 3 consecutive attack errors for the side of Iloilo. And now they're sending the PGJC Navy to set point.
Wow! 3 regalo yun.
3 regalo, sunod-sunod. Lahat galing sa atake.
And look at this. We were tied at 20. 5 straight points put together by Navy.
That was a good effort by PGJC Navy to close this set. It was a close start hanggang sa patapos nitong set na to, but because of the errors of the Navigators Iloilo, they gave that set to PGJC Navy, closing this third set to 25-20.
Third set going to Navy, 25-20, as they keep alive their chances of winning this ball game, and hopefully no practice tomorrow.
And like what we mentioned kanina during the third set, no, na ang ganda nung pasok nitong PGJC Navy. Talagang ang ingay nila, ang ganda nung teamwork nila. Lumamang pa sila early in the first set. But nung last stretch naman, nag-tie pa sila ng 20 all. But the Navigators Iloilo gave 4 free points dito kay PGJC Navy. That's why they were able to close that set. But collectively, there was a good teamwork by PGJC Navy na medyo hindi natin nakita nung first and second set. And ang ganda nung start nila. That's why na-close nila yung third set na yon. And now we're looking at the numbers. Attack errors, isa lang yung lamang ni Navy. But they were able to use their blocking. 2 block points for Navy. No service aces for both squads. Mas mataas nga lang yung lamang nitong The Navigators Iloilo with 10 errors versus 8 lang nito ni PGJC Navy. So if you're PGJC Navy, you want to sustain that momentum and that early lead for this fourth set because they want to give the first loss nitong The Navigators Iloilo, but The Navigators, on the other hand naman, you want to maintain that clean standings with no loss. So we'll see for this fourth set if maging maganda pa rin ang start and pagpanapos nitong PGJC Navy, or will it be the opposite naman for their squad?
Fourth set underway here. Good defense here from both sides, and then suddenly finding a hole is Navy, and they're going to get the first point here at the start of the fourth.
That was a good change of speed for the attack of Marcelino. Na-block siya on the first with a strong open attack, but this time naman, drop ball lang, sakto sa gitna ng depensa nitong Iloilo.
Guaza stopped. It's 2-0 here for Navy.
And that was Marcelino again. Back-to-back points on the open side for PGJC Navy. Same lang no third set. Ang ganda ng start nito, PGJC Navy. Getting the lead, 2 points.
That's put down there by Guaza.
So far, Guaza already has 8 points for this game.
Another service error here for the Navigators.
Marcelino, on the other hand, already has 15 points. Oh.
Wow. How did that go over?
That was outside though. But now Navy is up by 3 points.
Not the best of starts here for the Navigators. That was checked. Clearly.
That was checked and inside the side of Iloilo. Napaaga ang timeout dito ni Coach John Ken Panes. Let's listen in.
Magtrabaho tayo maayos. Hindi pwedeng ganyan lang. Layo po ng adjustment natin. No? Adjust na kayo kaagad. Layo pa ng adjustment natin. Masyadong relax eh. Masyado tayong kampante. Labuhin nyo ng maayos. Kung paghirapan nyo, kahit kaya nyo mo naman paghirapan yan. Nakuha na natin 2 set. Ayaw nyo pa paghirapan ng maayos. Tara, hey.
Well, it's very evident, and Coach Panes pointed it out. Their level of play, Panay, has gone so low.
Right, and medyo relax na sila ngayon coming to fourth set. Well, ang ganda ng start nila. No? First and second set, they were very dominating actually. But nung third and fourth set, talagang pababa yung kanilang level of play. Kaya naman napansin nyo na kanilang coach Now, big lead. Biggest so far for PGJC Navy with 5 points advantage for this fourth set.
It doesn't seem like the Navigators thought magkakaroon ng fourth set.
That's right. And ito namang PGJC Navy, parang ang tagal nilang mag-init. Nag-init lang sila nung third set. And ngayon coming into this fourth set, ang ganda pa rin ang nilalaro nila.
Unfortunately, double touch there.
Yan yung mga hindi natin masyadong nakita sa side ng Navy. Nung first and second set is their good coverage. But nung third and fourth set, nung nag-step up sila on that side, mas nagiging maganda yung mga transition plays nila. Nakakuha sila ng magagandang lamang in the scoring department.
This is a resurgent squad that we're seeing from Navy here in the fourth.
Parang the pressure now is on the Iloilo side. Kung saan sila pa dapat yung lamang ng 2 sets. So their momentum, if they were able to sustain it, wala dapat silang pressure na ma-feel ngayon. But this time sila na yung nagkakabol.
And they're going to score once again. That's going to bring us so quickly here to this first technical timeout of set number 4. And a dominating start for Navy.
You're still watching the Spikers Turf Open Conference 2023. This is the match between the PGJC Navy Sea Lions versus the ILOILO D Navigators. Now, coming from the huddle of the ILOILO side, the huddle was actually filled with apologies coming from the players. Everyone was apologizing to each other, and head coach John Panis told them to forget about it. It's good that they have accountability for their mistakes, but the set is over. It's time to smile, go back to the basics, forget about it, be more aggressive to bounce back. Back to you, Anthony and Panay.
Well, Ayana, it doesn't seem like they've forgotten it because look at the way they're playing right now.
That's right, and they're not really playing aggressive right now. And parang nagtitinginan na lang sila every time they commit an error. Unlike yung first 2 sets, is ang bilis nilang makabawi. Pag nag-commit sila ng error, nakakuha kagad sila ng puntos in the attack. But this time, ang laki ng lamang ng Navy with 5 points.
Well, they're going to get that point there, and let's see. That spurs good things for their squad. Cortez, Doug. Desquitado got to that one, and that's going to be long.
Yeah, that was outside. Clearly no touch on the block. Still a 4-point advantage for PGJC Navy.
That's long, no question about that one. You can see the shoulders here of the Navigators. It looks like it's they're slumped.
Medyo bagsak.
And for a team that's up 2-1.
That's right. Na parang sila, you're expecting na sila yung dapat mas maganda yung nilalaro.
Tama.
But biglang bumaba yung kanilang level of play coming into this 4th set. But on the side naman of PGJC Navy, everyone's enjoying. Everyone's really celebrating their points. Their teamwork is better now. Everything's working for them in the attack department, blockings, and especially defense.
They're not looking like the team that is up 2-1.
That was a mistimed attack there by Cortez. I thought it was a good set by Apolinario.
Wow, they're crumbling here. Down by 7.
Biggest lead so far for PGJC Navy for this game.
But Navy cannot afford to come up with mistakes like that. Biglang baka magising
Di
itong
natin
kupunan
alam.
ng Navigators.
Oo, baka mamaya magulat na lang tayo na malapit na itong score ng Iloilo.
Look at that, they're just a step slow.
Yes, and parang coming off from that point ni Greg Dolor, nakita mo, nagtinginan na lang itong Iloilo. No one's really comforting one another and talking to one another on how to adjust in their defense pattern or what's their gameplay to get a point because ang laki ng lamang nitong PGJC Navy.
Disquitada from the back row. Stopped. And Dolor says, this is the way to do it.
That's right. Look at Greg Dolor. Ganda ng open attack niya, then back row attack.
It is 13-5, Paning.
That was fast. Ang bilis ng ganda ng start nitong PGJC Navy and now they're up 13 points.
I think it's a combination of a very good start here from Navy and a very poor start from the Navigators.
At hindi pa nakakabangon itong the Navigators Iloilo.
A yellow card is going to be given here.
Was it given to the setter of PGJC Navy? We don't know. But they're still in a comfortable lead for this set.
That's quite surprising for that to happen for a team that's ahead.
But
and the team that's playing well. Yeah.
That's right. But it can happen really. So it depends talaga sa players or sa team kung paano nyo gusto maglaro coming into this game. Ang ganda nga ng start nyo pero hindi nyo naman natuloy all the way.
Nursidik gets denied there.
Eh, parang yung nangyayari ngayon is what the coaches usually tell their players is wag nyo nang gisingin yung kalaban nyo na natalo nyo na ng first 2 sets because kayo yung team nyo yung mapupunta in a difficult situation if naging maganda yung nilalaro ng opponent nyo.
Cortez, that's still alive.
Good save there by Navy.
Cortez once again, denied.
It was outside.
It's a 10-point advantage. And looking at the faces here of the Navigators, they look shell-shocked.
Yes, but there was clearly no teamwork right now for the Navigators. No communication. Kanya-kanya lang sila. And on the side naman ng PGJC Navy, every time they commit an error, may bawi sila kagad to get their point and to shift their momentum back at their side again.
What a drastic turnaround here as the captain with another serve.
That was almost an ace. And that was inside.
Engay comes in and gives them some quality minutes. That's going to stop the bleeding somewhat, but it's still a huge lead at 9.
Free ball here.
Disquitado. Now he's alive. The question is, have they yielded too much points too early?
But that, so far for this set, it's mostly Disquitado getting points for their squad.
And a violation is going to be called at the net here.
Yeah, that was from, I think tumama yung elbows dito ni Nursidik for that block and now sending the PGJC Navy to second technical timeout to 16.7.
Welcome back to the Paco Arena. As we see, it looks like the life has been sucked out of this Iloilo squad here in the fourth.
Right, ito namang very lively na PGJC Navy, really feeling this fourth set will go to their side, especially if you have this big lead. And yung confidence level nitong PGJC Navy, you can really feel it na sobrang ang taas ng kanilang confidence dahil itong the Navigators Iloilo naman, they only have Disquitado scoring most of the points for their squad, but on the side naman of PGJC Navy, you have Dolor, you have Marcelino, and you have their good defense and first ball. Kaya naman nakakuha sila kagad ng puntos whenever they commit an error. And that service error will definitely not help the Navigators Iloilo, especially if you're down this big.
Sabi ng Navy, no practice tomorrow.
Parang yan yung goal nila. To win this game, to hand the first loss sa Iloilo, and para no training sila tomorrow naman.
Pero sabi ni Guaza, huwag muna kayong matutuwa. Lamang pa rin kami, 2-1. But it's looking very likely we're gonna have a fifth set.
But this is a very comfortable lead for PGJC Navy.
Bang!
And that was a good combination play by PGJC Navy. You have to give credit to their good first ball coming off from their libero. That's why they were able to execute this combination play seamlessly.
Marcelino was actually looking over at the coaching staff before he served, and he was asking to be subbed.
Oh, or maybe was he look hindi ba parang may target na binibigay yung mga coaches? Sometimes it can also happen na ganun.
Disquitado, tit for tat.
But that won't help them, especially if they're down by 8 or 9 points.
(19-10). Navy looking poised to go to a fifth. Guasa na lang parang lumalaban dito at saka si Disquitado.
Oo. Actually, silang dalawa itong mga top scorers for their squad so far. But I think they'll be needing more help in the scoring department. That was back-to-back service errors for Iloilo.
And they look like a deflated squad.
That's true. Now, if you look at their squad now, it's really parang... It seems like they don't want to play in this set. I mean, hindi sila nag-uusap-usap. Whenever they're in the service area, nagko-commit sila ng errors.
Well, that's going to help their cause. But from a coaching standpoint, Paneng, what do you have to look at coming to the fifth? Obviously, you have to come up with something to say to spark your team.
Well, at first, kailangan nila mag-focus sa service area and definitely their teamwork and communication, because we didn't see most of that nung third and fourth, especially nung fourth set. Dahil ngayon, kanya-kanya na lang itong the Navigators Iloilo na no one's really smiling. Even if they score a point, no one's celebrating. Parang, okay, I got the point, but yung teammates nila walang tap on the shoulder and say, good job, we got that point, sige, tuloy-tuloy tayo. Or whenever their teammate commits an error, no one's comforting them or talking to them on how to adjust or paano makabawi.
Another thing to consider here for Coach Panes is maybe you want to rest a lot of your starters so that they'll be fresh for the fifth.
But that's not the game plan of Coach Panes. Well, maybe he wants to see his squad na makabawi. Na wag yung, kahit na ganito kalaki yung lamang ng opponent nyo, is maglaro kayo ng maayos. Gumalaw kayo ng maayos inside the court. But that was 3 service errors already by the Navigators Iloilo.
Parang binibigay na nila yung fourth set eh. That's crazy.
But coming into the fifth set, if ever will have an extended match, they can't play like this. Talking about the Navigators Iloilo, they need to play better as one team.
Back to Disquitado. And he sends that one out.
Well, that was outside. Medyo may gigil na ito mga palo ni Disquitado. And I think what's lacking now, the attack department naman ng the Navigators, is yung variation nila in the attack. Ang dami nilang mga strong attacks. Pinipilit nilang ibabawan yung blockers or on the side of the blockers, pero naging overcooked naman yung attack nila, giving that free point to their opponents.
Well, he's going to score one. He looks over at the other side and says, yes! And the other side saying, we're still up by 9.
Oh, it's still a comfortable lead. They only need 2 points to close this set and extend the match to 5th set. Oh.
And that's going to bring us to set point here. Suarez, I think, wants to be replaced here first.
Yeah, because he was trying to get for that single-handed set. But Guaza was in the middle. I mean, if it was an over ball, pwede mo na yung, pwede mo nang paluin or pwede mo nang drop ball on your side. But the point is awarded to PGJC Navy because the first referee said the ball is still on the Navy side. So that was an overreach violation called on Guaza.
Disquitado will pick up that point. So individually, Disquitado just continues to rack up the numbers, but they're definitely going to lose this 4th set. Still set point.
That was a good first ball. And a good combination attack there by Marcelino to go for that middle attack, closing this set and a dominating win with 25 points to 19, if I'm not mistaken. For 15 for the Navigators Iloilo. Now we're going to a 5th set. Now we'll see who will get this match.
Yes, you're still with us here, coming to you from the Paco Arena. Let's take a look at the set 4 highlights, and most of these highlights belong to the Navy squad.
Yeah, that was a good start itong ni PGJC Navy. Same nung nangyari nung third set. But this time, nung fourth set, ang ganda nung start nila. Na ang laki ng lamang nila kaagad to start the fourth set. And they were able to sustain that momentum and their good teamwork. But on the side naman of the Navigators Iloilo, yung teamwork naman nila yung nawala. They committed a lot of errors in the service area. And even in the attack department, na kung saan dapat makakuha sila ng puntos na kagad. But mandami din silang outside na atake na pinamigay. Libreng puntos for Navy. And now we're looking at the numbers. Attack points, Navy lamang lang ng 1 point. They got 10 attack points versus 9 nitong Iloilo. Service lamang, block points, they were able to get 2 block points versus 1 ng Iloilo. And 2 service aces naman ito ni Navy. But on the side naman of the errors, ang laki ng errors nitong the Navigators Iloilo with 11 points versus 5 lang nitong ni Navy. So, sa lahat ng mga sets, ito si PGJC Navy, talaga nalilesen nila yung mga errors nila. But on the side naman of the Navigators Iloilo, tumataas naman yung kanilang mga libreng puntos na binibigay for their opponents. And like what we always mention nung fourth set, yung teamwork and communication nitong the Navigators Iloilo nawala nung first set. But third and fourth set, PGJC Navy, ang ganda ng communication nila. They were able to adjust in their defense pattern, especially in the blocking department and nung first ball. But we'll see, coming into this fifth set, who will get that early lead and early good momentum to get this game.
That's a good start here. I'm looking at the body language still of the Navigators, and it doesn't look like the same Navigator squad na nakita natin
Nung
in
first
set
two
number
set.
1 and 2. Tama.
That's right. But we'll see itong fifth set kung anong klaseng laro ang papakita nila sa atin. Was it their game nung first 2 sets o nung third and fourth set? But there's a big difference naman on the side of PGJC Navy because we're not seeing Suarez as their setter for this set. I think nagkaroon siya ng injury sa finger nung nag-atake do si Guazon. And now doing the setting job for PGJC Navy is si Sean Padon.
And right now they're still working on Suarez on the bench. He's icing that hand of his.
Yeah, if you're the setter, kailangan mo yung kamay mo na mahawakan mo ng maganda yung bola to set properly sa yung mga spikers.
Could that be the telling factor here?
There was a block touch on Disquitado. Isahan lang tayo dito to this fifth set.
Well, so far so good. Setting-wise para sa Navy. Why not go to Disquitado?
Yeah, there was only one blocker in front of Disquitado. It's actually the leading scorer for Iloilo with 16 points, followed by Guaza and Cortez with 11 points each. So if you're Apolinario, talaga coming to this fifth set, kailangan mong bigyan ng madaming bola yung mga hot hands mo. Because you want to close this game, you want to get this win to keep that clean standing with no loss.
Yellow card this time will be issued to the Navigators. It's now going to be a tie. Tit for tat.
Service error also for PGJC Navy. But now Iloilo is up by only 1 point. What a close start for this fifth set.
And now it doesn't seem like anybody wants to take control of the fifth. De Pedro, good serve. Nice stretch. Disquitado dug. Disquitado trying to get there, but ran out of space.
Now you can see it in Greg Dolor na he really wants to win this game. He is leading the PGJC Navy in the scoring department with 27 big points for this game. But that was inside. Take a look at Greg.
There was no question I was dropping.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to get it.
Because they thought that it was sailing outside already. But biglang bumagsak dun sa dulo ng court.
Now 1 point lead enjoyed here by Navy.
Now good first ball.
That's a nice dig.
Oh, good cover.
They go to the other side. Back to Disquitado.
And that open attack works for Disquitado. Now take a look at this. Ibabaw yung palo niya na yun. Hindi nakatouch yung kanyang blockers. And now he's in the back row.
We're tied at 5. He went for it there.
Good defense.
Cortez! One of the few times that he's gone short.
That's right. And Greg Dolor was actually expecting for that strong attack sa down the line, but it was a good change of speed there. Drop ball, sakto lang sa likod ng blockers niya. Easy point for Cortez. 1 point lead here for the Navigators Iloilo. Disquitado already has 18 points coming up from 16 attacks, 1 block and 1 ace.
Boom! And we're tied once again at 6.
Take a look at this quick attack. That was Jemmy and Tig. Good connection with Sean Padon.
And Tig didn't have a very good start to this ball game, but he has really picked it up here late.
No touch there for the no touch there in the blocking department for PGJC Navy.
And now it's a 1 point lead here off that mistake from Nursidik.
Iniwas ni Nursidik yung palo niya sa blockers niya.
Not a good serve from Intig. Nursidik dug. They're going to ask for a check. We're going to have a challenge here.
Yes, there was challenge called.
At parang mukhang desidido sila eh.
Oo, maski-
Pagkapalo pa lang eh.
Kita na nila, maski si Coach Cecil, talagang sabi niya, may touch. Kaya challenge agad doon si Coach Cecil. So we'll see if their challenge will be successful.
That's going to be big. That's going to give them a 2 point lead here, Paneng.
I think they're sure na merong block touch.
Pagkatama, lumabas automatically. Sabi ni Coach, challenge kasi nakita niya yung senyas ng mga referee natin na bibigay yung puntos dito sa Navigators. Big call. Because we could be tied at 7, or it could be a 2 point lead here for Navy.
Now, let's take a look. I think there was a touch there. Yes, that was a good challenge by Coach Cecil Cruzada. So now the PGJC Navy is up by 2 points.
And that 2 points, Paneng, is a luxury at this stage.
Yes, of course.
Let's check in now with Ayana.
Anthony and Paneng, here's an update on Suarez's injury of the PGJC Navy Sea Lions. His right hand ring finger was actually hit by an attack of one of the D Navigators, and Suarez mentioned na medyo malala daw yung pain. And Anthony, like you're saying, like you said earlier, they're icing it currently, but it seems like he won't be able to see action again in this game. And they haven't actually concluded yet what type of injury it is, but hopefully it isn't that bad. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Ayana. Natamaan siya ni Guaza kanina. Nakita natin yun at the net.
When he was attempting for that one-hand set. Oh, that's going to be painful. You know, if you're a setter, tapos doon ka nagkaroon ng injury sa fingers mo. I hope he recovers fast.
Well, you were telling me off the air, he might be out for at least a week.
Yeah, it depends on the severity of the injury. But sometimes kasi pag sa finger ka nagka-injury, dun matagal nakaka-recover eh. And if you're a setter, ang dami mong setting drills na kailangan mong all fingers are working or no pain ka na nararamdaman.
Still making something out of nothing was Nursidik. That's going to bring them closer.
That's right. They only need 1 point to tie this set. Oh, almost a service ace.
Marcelino denied. Cortez loving it.
That was the first kill block that we've seen for this set, courtesy of Cortez and Guaza.
Guaza was there to help out.
Good timing on the block. Good position also.
We're tied at 8. They go to the other side, and it works there.
Yeah, that was Greg Dolor on the opposite back row attack. It works well for PGJC Navy. Take a look at this. Grabe yung set na yon ni Padon.
Padon has done so well in
That's
place
right.
here of their starting setter Suarez.
It's his first time to play for this game. Pumasok siya ng latter part ng 4th set and even starting for this 5th set.
Looks like they're gonna challenge.
But Marcelino said he admitted that there was a touch on his side.
Well, that saved the challenge for their coach. Baka kailangan nila yun
Yeah.
in the latter stage of this match, which is actually just right around the corner. We're tied at 9. Bang! Marcelino!
What a combination play by PGJC Navy. Good set by Sean Padon. I'll take a look at this. Marcelino with that good first ball. Siya pa din yung pumalo in the middle.
Marcelino serving once again. They're up by 1. Goes for a big one. Handled by De Pedro. De Pedro goes down the line.
Now we're tied at 10.
A little sidelight here while we're waiting for the next serve. Sa pinakita ng Navy, may ensayo pa kaya sila bukas? Manalo't matalo?
Well, it depends pa din kay Coach Cecil kung happy siya sa nilalaro nitong squad niya. Because
And they're gonna challenge here. Navigator saying there was none. Coach Cecil was adamant on that one. They already won an earlier challenge. Let's find out if they're gonna get, well, we can't use the term lucky because it's actually something that's happened already. Important point once again, we are tied at 10. This is the 5th set. Who would have thought? First set going to Iloilo 28-26. They won the second one, 25-21. And then they were tied at 20 all in the third. They lost that. And Iloilo got blown out in the 4th.
And now in the 5th set naman, we're having a very close 5th set. Isahan lang yung lamang for either squad.
Once again, just a reminder, if you're joining us late, Iloilo has yet to lose a game. They are 4-0.
They're currently 3rd in the standings for this conference. And 6th naman itong si PGJC Navy. But with the way that they're playing now, they want to give that first loss to the Navigators Iloilo. So let's take a look at this. If there's really a block touch.
Doesn't look like it.
I don't think there is. So that challenge is unsuccessful. leaving only one challenge left for PGJC Navy.
It's now a 1-point lead for Iloilo. Cortez serving. Looking to transition, and they do. It's now a 2-point lead.
Yeah, the Navigators Iloilo's top scorer, Disquitado, is already in the front row, so you'll expect a lot of sets coming from Apolinario given to Disquitado. So now Coach says he'll call for a timeout. Let's listen in.
Yung drop ball nila baka drop ball na yan. Tapos yung block natin kay Disquitado, ipasok natin. Pag maluwag yan, lalabas lang yan. Ipasok, dukot kasi malakas pa.
Coach Cecil was very thorough in that timeout.
Yes, and she said, good first ball and porsyento tayo. Porsyento meaning we'll give the set to our hot hands. So who is in the front row for Navy? That's Greg Dolor in the front row. Ah, good first ball.
There's Dolor. He sends that long though. Are they gonna challenge?
I don't think there's a challenge called Navy. And now the Navigators Iloilo is up by 3 points.
Well, they got the play that they wanted. They went to Dolor. Just couldn't convert.
Another good first ball, but that's a good combination attack for Navy. Only 2 points para makapantay sila dito sa puntos ng Iloilo.
Pero dalawa na lang din ang kailangan naman ng kupunan ng Iloilo para maipanalo yung larong ito. And digs in.
That was Disquitado.
And it is now set point, match point for the Navigators.
Now Coach Cecil called for a timeout, if I'm not mistaken, before this substitution on the side of Iloilo.
Binawi niya.
Binawi niya. So the game goes on.
Engay with a serve. This could be it. Disquitado. Stopped.
Oh, free ball given to Iloilo.
Disquitado again.
That was back-to-back points from Disquitado in the open attack. This is a close fifth set, but the Navigators Iloilo was able to redeem their game, closing this set to 15 points, 11. Good game here by Disquitado. But you have to give credit also to the good game of PGJC Navy. They were able to extend this match to fifth set. But because of the strong attacks naman ni Disquitado and determination to win this game, dun naman sila nakalamang.
That's your final score. The Navigators winning this one, 3-2. Don't go away, we're gonna be back to wrap things up.
You're still watching the Spikers Turf Open Conference 2023 here on One Sports, and what a way to end our triple header this Wednesday. We ended it with another game with 5 sets, and of course, the D Navigators from Iloilo prevailed. And joining me now is the best player of the game, JM Apolinario. Hello, JM.
Hello po.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
JM, 29 excellent sets ka in today's game, and alam ko naman medyo bago yung team ninyo. And I want to know, paano ba parang na-familiarize yung sarili mo with the way your team plays para sa mga perfect sets na yun?
Dinadaan lang po namin sa training lahat. Yung mga gusto naming bola, yung height, yung bilis. Sa training lang po namin ginagawa lahat.
Now, of course, JM, the winning streak continues for your team. It was a challenging game for you guys. Sa tingin mo ba, ano yung main lesson from today's game?
Siguro po, wag po magpakapakampante kahit na nakuha na yung first 2 sets. Kailangan, wag po magkampante.
Yes, pero nakaraos kayo, JM.
Yes, thank you, Lord.
Congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us. Once again, this is JM Apolinario, our best player of the game. Back to you, Anthony and Tanay.
Thanks a lot, Ayana. But tama yung pagkasabi niya. Hindi sila pwede magpabaya kasi yun na nga talaga yung nangyari.
Yes, and yun na nga, dahil at least alam nila kung saan sila nagkulang. Is nagpabaya sila dun sa third, and especially dun sa 4th set. Kaya naman nakuha yun in PGJC Navy. But yung 5th set naman, ang ganda ng start nila nung 5th set. Parang isahan lang eh. Walang nakalamang ng mataas, ng malaki. But nung nagkaabot na sila sa 10 points, doon na lumamang ng 3 points itong the Navigators Iloilo, especially with Disquitado in the front row. He scored the last 3 points for the Navigators Iloilo before closing that set and that game. Definitely taking this game. So now leaving their standing to 5 wins and 0 loss. And we're looking at the set 5 statistics. Attack points, Navigators Iloilo got 11 and 1 block point for that set. But big difference also is they were able to lessen their errors. Hindi din tayo masyadong nakakita ng mga service errors nung 5th set. And also for Navy, they had 3 errors for that set. But you also have to give credit to the good game na pinakita nitong PGJC Navy led by their team captain Greg Dolor, who actually scored 30 big points for this game. But on the side naman of the Navigators Iloilo, it was Disquitado who scored a lot, or the leading scorer for their squad.
Talagang nagpakpakan si Disquitado at si Dolor. But in the end, it's gonna be a victory here for the Navigators Iloilo. Our games on Friday. It's Cotabato against Imos at 3, and at 5:30 in the afternoon, it's Santa Rosa up against this very same D Navigators that you just witnessed right here. That's gonna do it here for our coverage. In back, my partner Paning de Koenigsborter, Anthony Suntay saying thanks for joining us, everybody. Till next time, take care. Have a good night ahead. God bless.